All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I have for you guys today, Blessing Iwodebu, with a physique update from 8 weeks out, I guess he says. So 4 weeks ago, he's now 4 weeks out from the Indy Pro. Keep in mind, he's doing the Indy Pro prior to the New York Pro. So the New York Pro, I've said this a couple times, is the show that everybody's talking about because Nick and Blessing will both be there, but only Blessing will be at the Indy Pro and not Nick. So he's doing that prior to the showdown with Nick in New York. So Blessing posted this physique update, finally showing his legs. And I kind of feel like it's a response to my last video about Blessing where he was showing kind of a brief angle of his legs where you can kind of see his hamstrings. And his hamstrings look a little bit small compared to the size of his quads. And this is a direct, straight-on shot from the back, hitting a back, technically back relax pose, where you can see his hamstrings. And I just got to say, it actually feels really good that there's some excitement in bodybuilding again. A ton of people have been tagging me in Blessing's post. People are excited to see this showdown between Nick and Blessing at the New York Pro. And keep in mind, guys, it's been since December since we've had an IFBB Men's Open bodybuilding competition. It's been a long time since we've had some action on a bodybuilding stage. Typically, by this point in the year, we've already had the Arnold Classic in Ohio in March, which is a big show. So here we are, about a week and a half into April. You had December, January, February, March, and now April, almost 5 months of no competitions. And literally, by the time we get around to May, where you've got the Indy Pro the first week of May, and the second week of May, you've got the New York Pro, it's going to be almost half a year of no bodybuilding action at all. So I just wanted to say, I've been really happy to see your guys' enthusiasm, to see people getting excited about pro bodybuilding again, speculating about this, talking about that, picking sides on Nick and Blessing. I mean, it seems like an Instagram beef or whatever, but it does make bodybuilding more interesting, more interactive, where fans can pick a side and argue back and forth. That's what bodybuilding's all about. Opinions and fan bases, one bodybuilder versus another. That is what makes the sport exciting. And I wanted to thank you guys for that because it's been cool to see you guys going back and forth, tagging me in this and tagging me in that. But anyway, let's get to Blessing's post here. And it's actually kind of funny, as I'm looking at this post that I'm showing you right now, the top comment on that post is, "Hey guys, it's Nick here from Nick Strength and Power, and we've got some interesting stories today." So like I said, he mentions in that caption, this is an older picture from 8 weeks out in his prep for the Indy Pro. First comment I want to make here is Blessing's back is phenomenal. I said this in my post on my community tab on my channel. The density of his back, phenomenal. The detail, phenomenal. The width, phenomenal. And the width is very important, not just in the back shots, but in the front shots, accentuating the V-taper. So from an upper body standpoint, Blessing's back poses are all going to be very dominant from an upper body standpoint. He has a fantastic back, even with the fact we've never seen him on a pro stage. Again, the Indy Pro will be his pro debut. I think we can safely say that his back is really going to hold its own on stage, at least from an upper body standpoint. Now, let's get to the lower body here, because this is what we've been talking about, that Blessing hasn't really shown as many updates of his legs. So again, keep in mind, take this with a grain of salt. He's 4 weeks out now, and this is an older picture. So looking at the back double bicep, again, I still see kind of the same thing. His legs don't really look small in this shot. Again, Blessing does have very advantageous lighting and angles in a lot of his poses. He's standing next to a window, and as a lot of you guys know, these window side-lit shots typically give you a much better look to your physique. So his legs don't look small, but I still think there's going to be an imbalance on stage between his hamstrings and his quads. Even in that back shot, you can still kind of see the way he's got his legs angled. You can still see the quads overpowering the hamstrings, even in this back shot, because he's got his legs kind of tilted outward, so you can still see the quad. And there's not a lot of hamstring striations. You can see that one striation on the side facing the window. So that's what jumps out to me. The hamstrings seem to me maybe the weaker point of Blessing's physique. I've seen some pictures of his quads before in front-on shots when he was prepping for the Arnold Classic Australia, and they don't look bad. But overall, I think the hamstrings might be what let him down, if anything does let him down on stage, especially against Nick. So for comparison's sake, I wanted to pull up this recent physique update of Nick Walker. So Nick Walker, at 6 weeks out, he says his weight was 270, so this was a week ago, pretty much. This was a back double bicep from Nick, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. If you look, I'm going to do a side-by-side in a second. Blessing's upper back, I think, definitely takes this pose. I think Blessing will beat Nick in most of the back shots from an upper body standpoint. Now, if you look at Nick's lower body, though, look at the size of his hamstrings relative to the size of his quads. They look pretty even. His hamstrings are massive, and his quads are massive. You can see in this rear shot that his hamstrings are large. You can see the size. And again, Nick doesn't really have the most flattering lighting. He doesn't have the most flattering angles. He's just standing in kind of a, what's the term for that lighting? A fluorescent lighting type of, it's not great lighting. And you can still see he's got a really significant amount of size to both his hamstrings and his quads. So the lower body, I think, is where this battle is really going to come down to, and conditioning as well, even though all the updates that I've seen from both guys, they've looked to be in pretty good shape. So we'll put it side by side here. Again, keep in mind, so Nick would be 2 weeks ahead of Blessing in this update than Blessing's update. And I got to say again, I do think Blessing looks really good. A lot of people are saying Nick is just going to crush Blessing. I think it's going to be a good battle. And again, I've said this many times as well, I wouldn't make this the Nick and Blessing show because I think there certainly is a possibility of neither of them winning the show. Like I said, their voices right now are just the loudest, but that doesn't mean they're going to win, either one of them. But as always, let me know in the comment section down below who is going to come out on top, Nick Walker or Blessing Iwodebu, and why. Come on. Now, next up in the news, a pretty impressive off-season physique update from Antoine Vaillant. So Antoine, I don't think he really placed where he wanted to in the Olympia. I think he was like second from last. He was way outside the top 10. But this physique update, an off-season update at 306 pounds. I know that in past preps, in recent preps, prior to those preps, those off seasons, Antoine has crested that 300-pound mark before, and he is a taller bodybuilder. I think he's around 6 foot, which is tall for a bodybuilder. But it just goes to show you, and Antoine does look impressive here, but it goes to show you how different 300 pounds can look on different physiques and different frames. Keep in mind when Big Ramy first hit the scene and he was 300 in the offseason, that was like unheard of, and people were like, Big Ramy, the biggest bodybuilder ever, 300 plus in the offseason. I think when he first came to the States and he was doing those New York pros, Ramy was just a little bit over 300. Then eventually he progressed up to the point where he was like 355 allegedly in the offseason in like 2016. And there's a lot of bodybuilders, it seems like nowadays, that are surpassing that 300-pound mark. Antoine is one of them. James Hollingshead is another. Samson Dauda is another guy. You're seeing a lot more bodybuilders recently, it seems like, crest that 300-pound mark. And whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing for the direction of bodybuilding, I guess I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But I do think Antoine looks very good here. I don't think he's announced his next show. I wouldn't be surprised if he does a show like Toronto. I believe Ian Vieira said he's doing the Toronto show. But yeah, certainly be on the lookout for Antoine in this 2021 season. And again, it's pretty much all the shows going to be packed pretty well together from May to October when the Olympia is held. Now, also in the news, Leonidas Arcona, who seems to be the most rapidly progressing strict curl prodigy that we've got right now. He's been breaking German records in the gym, and he already has some German records, I believe. And he's been making crazy progress on the strict curl. I believe he recently did a 105 kg strict curl relatively. He struggled with it a little bit, but he made it look impressive. Recently, he did a cheat curl, a 128.5 kg cheat curl with a little bit of back drive. Well, I'll be honest, he's got a lot of back drive in that curl, which is the point of a strict curl. Your back's up against the wall, so you can't use any back drive, and you're trying to measure really the strength of your biceps and your biceps alone. But he does hit 283 pounds, 128.5 kg, shortly after hitting that 105 kg up against the wall strict curl. And again, 280 plus pounds is what, 30-something pounds heavier than the current strict curl world record of 249. I've been saying this for about a year now, but I think the person that will likely be first in line at whatever meet is to break the world record will probably be Leonidas. He's in his early 20s. He's making rapid progress, and he's showing a really significant level of strength for the young age that he's at. And I think he's got a lot of time to progress, maybe even beyond that current world record held by Denis Aplinkov. Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, I've given you guys plenty of updates on Hafthor Bjornsson. Now we're starting to see more and more from Eddie Hall. He recently posted a physique transformation up on his YouTube channel. Go check that out if you haven't already. But Eddie Hall recently on his Instagram page posted some recent sparring footage where he looks incredibly explosive and powerful. And a lot of people viewed this footage and they said that it's going to be a tough battle for Thor based on what we're seeing now from Eddie, kind of putting a little bit more heat into those punches, throwing these jabs, and that uppercut looked absolutely nasty. I'm no boxing expert. I'm not even going to pretend to be. But just comparing this footage to what I've seen from Thor, especially in that exhibition fight, I think Eddie seems to have more speed than Thor, and his punches just look devastatingly powerful. So earlier in the video, I asked you guys to let me know your opinion on Blessing versus Nick. I also want to know your opinion on Eddie versus Half Thor in the description or in the comments of this video. Which side are you taking? And does this video recently posted by Eddie Hall, does this change your opinion of the fight or your predictions for the outcome of the fight coming up in September of this year between Eddie Hall and Half Thor Bjornsson? That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.